everyone, welcome to the intuitive card reading for the week of the 8th. I think it's the 8th through the 14th, right? April 8th through 14th. Let me just double check. Yep, that's right. All right, guys, this is the weekly reading. I don't feel the greatest, so I apologize if my voice or I sound off or my energy sounds off. I'm really sorry about that. Also, too, I don't know if you can really see it, but in the corner of this video, I have my coconut water, which I need to have right next to me. So apologies if I have to take a sip halfway through or a quarter of the way through or whatever it is. What else? Actually, I think I'll take a sip before we begin. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, share this video with anybody that needs to hear any of the messages. And comments, questions, feedback down below, and let's just jump right into it. Like I said, I don't feel well, and these are getting long, and I appreciate everybody that has been sticking with it to the end. I really appreciate you, but again, want to be mindful of your time. All right, so let's see, what do we need? Poise, perfect. Oh my gosh. As you guys just heard, I don't feel well, so I really am praying for a good week. So let's see what we got going. And poise is really hopeful or positive. So poise just means like you're ready, right? We're ready to take the leap. We've got all of our ducks in a row, right? 'Cause sometimes we get cards that say like, okay, it's time for you to get ducks in a row, time to do the little things, right? We have that chop wood card. It's very similar to that, but this is saying like, no, there's not really much more that you can do. And the fact that it's under need, it's saying like, you really just need to take the leap. So excuse me. Something tells me this week, we're just going to have to take the leap with something and move forward with something, even when we don't necessarily, like Spirit is telling us that we're ready. Some of you guys might feel ready, but this is especially talking to people that don't necessarily feel ready. And this is just about like putting one foot in front of the other. You don't have to feel completely 100%. You don't have to feel, the timing doesn't have to be perfect, etc. Okay, so this is saying like we're ready for what's to come and we're ready to receive. We've been getting some receiving messages lately. We've been getting some feminine energy messages, like being in our feminine, which is really, it's our being. It's about receiving. So this is really great, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the reading holds. But so far, I'm loving it. Okay, action needed. Saboteur in the shadow induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. Okay, we need to stop. This is pretty straightforward. Stop sabotaging ourselves. Stop thinking of the worst case scenario. Stop, doing things that are preventing us from moving forward. Because again, we have this poise card that's really asking us to kind of like leap forward, move forward. And we're sabotaging ourselves in some type of way. So we have to cut that action out. Pretty straightforward with these two, and they go together, okay? So basically this is saying like, it's enough with the self-sabotaging, okay? You might not think that you're ready. You may not feel that you're ready, but you know intuitively that you are. And so it's about kind of trying to move yourself forward. And again, I know I just used the word leap. It could just be put one foot in front of the other, or some type of movement forward in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so let's keep going, see what's going on. Issue, creation. Okay, so I think we've gotten a couple of messages in the last few weeks about making sure that we have this creative time in our schedules, and so it's coming under issue. So it looks like we're not necessarily not the greatest week for that, for any kind of play, any kind of creation, any kind of innovative type work, which is obviously an issue. And let me just pull the next one, because usually issue and challenge are related in some type of way. So I just want to see, Druid, hold the space. Okay, yeah, this is really about we don't necessarily have the space for that. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of play time, a lot of creation time, a lot of innovation time, a lot of being time, because hold the space is really about giving ourselves the room, giving ourselves the space to be able to kind of do something that is more leisurely. So basically, to kind of sum that up, it's kind of like issue challenge here. Not a lot of leisure time, not a lot of downtime. And I'll tell you this, and I usually tell you guys, we're 4 cards in already. It doesn't feel like it's because we're busy. It just feels like the energy is shifted elsewhere, and that could be really about, obviously we're only 4 cards in, really about moving moving forward with this big thing that we, you know, like it feels major, you know, it feels like this major thing that has been going on in our life, like our big pain point. Like, how do we move forward from that? How do we go forward, right? So it's not necessarily about, I don't want to say like creation stuff is like a luxury, but it just feels like it's just not of importance. And we'll get, you know, we'll check out what the important card is, but it definitely does feel like it's like, and not to say that it's not important though, because it's saying like, yeah, it is an issue that you don't get this downtime. You don't get a lot of this leisure time, but it's for good reason is the kind of the energy that I'm getting here. So let's just keep going forward and see if we get more clues and can elaborate more on that. Change, what's changing? Exchanging gifts. Perfect. That is always about balance. That is always about an even give and take. Remember I just said receiving. And I just talked about masculine and feminine, so this is a good balance. Okay, love balance cards when we get this, and it's under change, so it means that we're actually being things are just feeling a little bit more balanced. Makes sense. Like I said, I don't necessarily feel like it's like a busy week. You know, it's not like we're filling up our time with busy stuff or whatever. We're actually just shifting our priorities to what, you know, that pain point, that moving forward kind of energy. So what's changing is the balance of things, and, you know, whether that's masculine and feminine, being, doing, giving, receiving, etc., etc. But it definitely does feel like we're finally kind of, things are starting to even itself out, and that's a really positive thing. So go us. All right, focus. We have praise, violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. Okay, not loving this because it's in the shadow. So it's basically saying that we are, that's not the right word. How do I say this? Yeah, I guess you could say like not connected so much to your spiritual practices, but it definitely does feel like we're just not as connected as usual, and we're not necessarily, and we haven't had one of these in a really long time. I think I mentioned that on the last reading where we got some self-care stuff coming up, if I remember correctly, but it's a little different than really connecting spiritually, connecting to a higher power, etc., etc. So it definitely does feel like, because it's in the shadow, basically Spirit is saying we need to kind of like focus on that disconnection, because it could cause all types of issues. And that's what it's kind of saying. It's kind of saying like it could cause a lot of egoic issues. So I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but one of the big things about being separated from something bigger than you is what we call the atonement, right? And the atonement is kind of like the atoning from the separation, right? Of unity consciousness, of, let's use the term collective, because I use collective consciousness for these readings. What do I mean? I mean the fact that we're all connected. We're more often than not, by law, by universal law, to be going through the same things as your brother or sister, right? That's really what this means. And so the fact that it's coming through this way, saying like, if this is not done, if this is not rectified or atoned for, if you don't necessarily concentrate on this part of things, part of your spirit, you know, your spirituality, it might cause issues. That's what I'm getting. You guys know I read intuitively, but that's kind of the feeling. So it's saying like really kind of connect to that priest or priestess, right, within you, and connecting to something bigger than you, because it could cause issues. That's what I'm getting. Again, guys, put down below if it, not just feedback or comments, questions or anything, just I'd love to see how this manifests for you guys, or how you guys interpret it in your own lives, etc., etc. Because again, we are reading for the collective, so it could be a little broad. So I always love to hear what you guys have to say. Okay, balance. Look at this, reflect. Guys, I told you, it's definitely more balance coming in, more giving and receiving, more, I don't know what else to say. Things are evening themselves out, and that's a really great thing. And the fact that it's under reflect, it's basically saying like, if you haven't already, this is a good week to kind of reflect on what else needs balancing, or What I will say is really things are coming to your attention, becoming more mindful to you of what actually needed balancing that you maybe have not necessarily realized needed some balancing. Okay, so hopefully that's not super confusing, but it's almost like the things that you weren't aware of that really needed, more of a balance in your life kind of evens itself out this week, and that's like a really great thing, but Spirit is asking you to reflect on it. We have responsibilities, stag, trust and thrive. Okay, so your responsibilities are to move forward because the stag really is more masculine energy, but the trust part is the more feminine, right? So we have more balance here coming through this card, and trust and thrive. And so basically it's asking you to trust by moving forward, right? That's really what it is. That's our responsibilities. This is pretty straightforward. This is good. I think Spirit knows that I'm not feeling well because there's not anything, we haven't gotten to the surprise section yet, but there isn't anything here that's like kind of jumping out that's like a little bit confusing, but it's making sense in a storytelling type of way. So this is definitely making sense to me, where it's basically saying, reiterating where we started out, basically saying like any way that we can move forward, we are ready, even if we don't feel or think that we're ready, at least put one foot in front of the other and trust, and move forward, right? Because we have that balance that it seems like that we've been craving for a while. So what a great sort of metaphor or way to kind of think about it. Like you have to have like both, like you have two legs, one in front of, one foot in front of the other. So you have to, like, you're balanced, like you're moving in a straight line, right? So you have to be balanced. So I don't know, I'm trying to give you guys a mental picture there, but yeah, so you're moving forward, you're balanced, you got the things, you feel like you have 2 feet on the ground, you're like ready to go kind of thing. Money, finances, and career. Let's see what you got going on. Message in a bottle. We have communication. So yeah, this is always about communication. I put career under here. So lots and lots of communication. What I will say, not shocked that this is coming up because we're in the Mercury retrograde right now. Be careful of your communication. Like I definitely get positive energy coming from it. Like it's not negative in any type of way, but I'm getting, again, intuitively, Spirit kind of asking us to be very clear about what we need, what we ask for, how we speak to people, how we articulate ourselves, etc. Just the way that we communicate to people, coworkers, people that handle our money, anything that any deals that have to do with, our finances in any type of way. Just be careful that you're being very clear. Okay, so that's what Spirit is asking us, be very, very clear. But otherwise, I do find it to be positive. That might be a little bit of a snafu, but again, just be clear. Doesn't feel like anything major or anything like that. So I see it being very positive. But again, be very, very clear. And it's, when I say positive in the way of like communicating, there will be, how do I say this? Positive results the more you communicate. There will be good and great outcomes for you communicating your needs, right? So there's a little bit of like the throat chakra coming through too. Guys, I pull cards for myself every morning. I got the throat chakra in reversed, which is a blocked, self-expression. So I had to kind of reflect on that a little bit today, but looks like I'm obviously part of the collective, so it looks like it's coming through a little bit here. So maybe it's a little bit of a warning there that Spirit was trying to give me personally, saying like, it's important that you express yourself and communicate. So maybe it does have something to do with my finances and stuff. So anyway, I digress. But but it's saying like by doing that and doing it clear, and the more clear you are, the better, right? And the way that doing that will give you the best outcome will this morning for my card, it just felt more so like on a personal development level, or for like a self-expression level. So that's what it's saying. It's saying if you have to speak up about something at work that is not cool with you or something like that, this is the week to do it. And again, positive outcomes, good results, like that kind of thing. So nothing but good stuff going on there. But again, Mercury retrograde, got to watch out for that. Surprise, what do we got going on? Maybe this will surprise me. Gossip, shadow attributes, thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information between comments. Got it. Okay, well, we made it all the way to the end of the second row. for something to watch out for, and it feels a little major, to be honest with you, and I can't wait to see what comes out in this corner here. But gossip thrives on the power on passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. We've been having weird things with the friend corner the last couple of weeks. It's been on, it's been off, it's been on, it's been off. But this feels like it's a little off. So I definitely do feel like this week somebody could be betraying your confidences. When I say major, I don't feel like it's like a huge thing. Maybe I was a little dramatic and too quick to the tongue to say, this is telling me to be a little bit more clearer, right? Yeah, so I didn't mean to misspeak. Is that a word? Misspeak, yeah. I definitely do feel like somebody, accidentally spills your secret. Somebody betrays you in some type of way. And again, I know I jumped the gun and I said major. Let's call it medium. Can we call it medium? If we're doing like red, green flags, can we call it a yellow flag? Right? Something in the middle, right? But definitely something to watch out for. And the fact that it's under surprise is it's going to kind of come from left field. So just be mindful of that. There's really nothing that you can really kind of do. I feel like, I don't want to say the damage is done, but you could take this information and do whatever you want with it. Usually I say, these are just the energies we're working with. Live your life, we do not predict the future here on this channel. So nobody can. You have free will. But if you feel like it's this is cautioning you to tell somebody something this week, then to not tell somebody something this week, then go for it. Use your own intuition. I always tell you guys that. But it definitely does feel like secret being spilled, confidence is being betrayed. Somebody maybe lightly stabbing you in the back, if that's even a thing. But it definitely does feel like, or the card could be literal gossip. Somebody finding out somebody that you really trusted really was like kind of talking behind your back, or doesn't have your back, or something like that. So somebody definitely is going to come out of the woodwork and kind of surprise you in that way, unfortunately. But let me just see what's under friends, because again, we don't really it's been on and off. Okay, and look what we have. We have change. Okay, so things are changing with how we relate to people that are closest to us. I do remember, and again, not the greatest day today, but my memory is really, really extra off. I don't necessarily know if it was last week or not, but we definitely have had nods to connecting with more like-minded people really sprinkled in there since the beginning of the year. So it doesn't shock me that things are changing within the friend group. The energies are changing, your friend groups are changing, people who you hang out with more often and less often is changing. So there's just like a lot of transformation and dynamics changing within the group. And I don't see it as a positive or negative thing. It's just like a neutral. And I don't feel like it's something that's happening very quickly. So it has been in the works for a long time. Why do I say that? Because that energy that kind of comes in really strong, first and foremost, that poised energy is basically saying like, we're ready to kind of move forward, right? So all of these things that I've been getting about our friend groups, people we hang out with this year, from the beginning of the year, have been kind of getting like mixed messages here and there. It has kind of been changing, foreshadowing it to change. There have been small changes here and there, just by the previous reading. So things are changing, and again, not for the positive, not for the negative, just it is what it is, like neutral. So there's nothing that you can really stop it or like, it's almost like the milk and honey card, where it's kind of like this bittersweet energy. It's like, who's intended to be around you will be around you, and who's intended to not go with you in your next chapter will come with you in your next chapter. And again, it doesn't feel major in the way of like you're gonna cut people off forever or something like that. It's just we read energy here, so it's just who you're surrounding yourself with, who's in your energy field, like that kind of thing. So it's definitely more of like an energetic thing. Romantic connection. We have Mother Earth, feel loved and comforted. Okay, so I think this is the second week in a row where we have really good stuff in the romantic section here, slot, whatever you want to call it. Feel loved and comforted. So definitely we have some feminine energy here. So, you know, again, whether you're male, female, non-binary, I do not care. You know, again, we're talking energies here. Bring out your feminine energy within your relationships, in your romantic relationships. It will be beneficial for you. I definitely do feel a lot of love, a lot of comfort, and a lot of positive vibes. I think we got the appreciation card or something very similar. The acclaim card possibly in this slot last week. So keeping up with that, you know, show appreciation, show acclaim, praise, love and comfort. Not too much more to say there. Okay, what's important? What is important? Between worlds. Okay, not shocked. Not shocked, because between world is always like we're feeling like we're our old self or our old life versus our new self or our new life. Makes sense. Spirit is asking us, as one of the major things of this reading, as we can tell. We're almost done, so it looks like it is one of the major things here, is that Spirit is asking us to move forward, even if we feel like we're not necessarily all the way ready, one foot in front of the other. So it's important to know that it's okay to be between worlds. It's okay to feel like you're, you know, in your old life and then you're trying to step into your new life, or your old self and then your new self. Okay, so it's important that it's okay that you feel that duality, because it's completely, absolutely, quote unquote, normal. You know, it's okay that you're feeling that way. It's not so black and white is like a good way to kind of put it, because this is also about black and white. I know we hear black and white like with thinking, but I mean, yes, but you know, it's not like the change that happens to us doesn't necessarily. That's why some of these cards are like similar, and the energies are kind of like similar. And if I do readings that are close to each other from week to week, for example, I get very similar cards, and it's because the energy doesn't change that much. Meaning, like, like things don't change. Like, very seldomly do things happen on a radical basis. If that makes sense to you guys, it's usually more, you know, like a radical, like, it's not usually like a radical black and white type of, okay, this is an ending, this is a beginning. There is usually that gray area, and that's what this is saying. It's important to understand that. So no beating ourselves up for the old life stuff or the new life stuff or whatever is going on with you. But it's important to know that things are shades of gray, and they will look that way this week, you know. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. All right, health and wellness. We're getting a lot of these cards upside down. I don't love it. Okay, shadow of the engineer, reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. Okay, this is always about removing the emotion from things, and not necessarily like seeing the mechanics of things, and not paying attention maybe to the emotional side of things. I don't see this as a negative thing, because in my opinion, I would, again, that's why I try to not use good or bad. Positive and negative I like a little bit more, but it's kind of like, is it really quote unquote bad if you do that, you know? And I'm saying that as somebody who's a very sentient type being, and an empath, obviously, but you're removing the emotion from your health and wellness. So, and you're going more of the logical route, or the practical route, it says on the card, which is not bad. So you're removing the emotion from things. I can tell you, as somebody that has been going through a health issue for almost 3 freaking years now, it's a long time now, is that sometimes it is better to look at things that way. Okay, and remove the emotion from it, because you kind of almost have to look at it like it's not happening to you, and you have to solve problems instead of get on the emotional side of things. And certain situations and circumstances call for one over the other. But when it comes to your wellness this week, it's important that you become a little bit more, this is what Spirit is saying, objective, practical, maybe a little bit more logical, you know, maybe like crafting more of like a plan, and kind of remove yourself from your feelings. remove yourself. And again, this is not about cutting yourself off from how you feel or anything like that. No, 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 no. No, you got to feel it to heal it, right? But this is basically saying coming from an approach of like more of a practical approach, a practical viewpoint, practical perspective will do you really well in the place of health and wellness, whether that's emotional, spiritual, physical, etc. Whatever fits there for you guys. So again, is that bad? I don't think so. It feels, maybe I could use the word neutral again. It just feels like that's the way that Spirit is asking us to move. That's what the energy is going to feel like. So, okay, last but not least, overall outcome, what do we have? Oh boy, healing. I could do a dance right now if I was feeling better, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm not feeling well. Having the healing card as the overall outcome for the end of the week makes me happy because for obvious reasons, right? So healing is taking place. We need to remember that, okay? I think it's also a good metaphor, maybe metaphor is not the right word, but a good reminder for people out there that are in between worlds, right? Because it's important to know that, we are in this gray area still, even though we need to, again, take, like now, like Spirit is saying, like, nope, now is the time that we make a step forward, to keep it moving, right? If there's anything I would say this reading is really kind of about like, keep it moving. I don't know what else to say. Healing is possible and it's coming. So just keep it moving, keep moving forward. I love to hear that because again, not having the best day, but love it, needed that reminder. Okay, so overall great week. Like if I was to flag things, I would flag as a red flag here the gossip, okay? There might be a backstabbing of some kind or secrets revealed or, from somebody that you trust, a betrayal of some kind, okay? Like I said, I jumped the gun. I said major, we're going to keep it at medium, okay? We're going to keep it at that even-keeled level, right? Makes sense, right? Actually, now that makes sense. Putting things together. A lot of balance, right? So it doesn't feel like things are like too out of control or anything like that. It just feels kind of like, an even amount of betrayal, if that is even a thing. Okay, now I'm throwing myself off the cliff now, not making sense. But it feels like we're returning to balance. It feels like Spirit is asking us to move forward, even if we don't feel or think that we're ready, asking us to do a more logical approach when it comes to our wellness. And that's really the highlights. And I don't see anything that would be really negative. Like I said, the gossip thing, watch out for, just be mindful of. Also here, focus, is asking us to really, if we're not necessarily connected, things might, our disconnection of spirit or something bigger than us or to our spirituality might mess things up this week in some way, shape, or form. Other than that, everything looks good. I think it's a really positive week, and I'm looking forward to it, especially towards the end here where we have that healing card. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I just wanted to say, I hope everybody has a really great week. I really appreciate the views. I really appreciate the comments. I love you guys so much. Thank you for dealing with me. In the last few years, I have not been as consistent as I wanted to be due to unforeseen, but spiritually foreshadowed, maybe I could say, situations and circumstances. But thank you. I love you guys. And have a wonderful week. I think I already said that, but if not, I'll say it twice and maybe 3 times. Have a great week, guys. See you soon.